Wellness Show, episode number 392.
Welcome to The Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. To The Wellness Show on health, wealth, and enlightenment, and I'm your host, Tyson Bannigan. And we're with you for the next hour to answer all your questions on dowsing and energy healing. And this is Personal Clearing Day, so this is your opportunity to phone in toll-free in North America, 1-866-369-7464, and receive a clearing. Help you get out of your way, take back your personal power, stand in your truth, and deliver your awesome gifts to the world. And today the topic is, not only are we going to clear you, but we're going to deal with reincarnation. Okay, so that's the topic for today. So phone in and Laura will give you a whole reading. No.
I'll tell you all about reincarnation.
I'll tell you all about reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is quite an amazing, exciting topic, and I'm hoping people will phone in and join us with their ideas about reincarnation or what experience they have. So let me ask you, Laura, do you have any memory of any previous reincarnations?
Yes. I have one where I was in the 1850s where I lost a child. She was murdered. I think I talked about that a couple days ago. Then I had one where I was a samurai and I worked for a king or something. And then I had another one where I was in Texas as I was kind of autistic, but I was very rich landowner apparently and had lots of issues with my family. And a daughter, I always have a dog next to me, which is interesting. Always, yep. And another time, I was with an ex, and we were in a lifetime before, previous to each other, and he was like my owner and I was a slave for him, and he mistreated me a lot. So I took
How do you know that these are reincarnations, not figments of your imagination?
It's kind of like, how do I know what I know when I do a reading on you and I get it exactly right? I just know what I know.
Well, I don't know people out there. She just knows that she knows because she knows that she knows. And then she knows because anyway, yes. So yeah, it's a knowingness. Absolutely. My experience is it's a knowingness. And people say, well, how do you know? Well, it's like, for me, I was standing in front of a statue in the middle of China and looking out over this amazing waterway, brilliantly designed like the Venice of China. And I was told, turn around. And I turned around and there's a statue. And I was told, that was you in a previous incarnation. Those were the words that came through. And there was Su Tung Po, who's a Chinese poet. And also he designed the whole water system for that beautiful city.
Wow.
So that was, for me, pretty clear.
So one time I was doing a woman's hair and her husband, it was spontaneous. Was when I first started doing this. And I knew that he and I were in Egypt together on mats, we were all in rows we were sitting on these mats in front of these stairs. That's all I know. And it was so clear to me that I knew her husband, and all she was doing was talking about him. And then it come to find out that my first teacher, David, who was an acupuncturist, was his acupuncturist at the same time.
Wow.
And I never met him, but I knew him. Is that weird?
So that's sort of like proof positive that you reincarnate as groups, right? That we make choices about, okay, I'll be your mom, you be your dad, and sometimes we reverse the roles, but that we're working in a pod, or like dolphins have a pod that they grow and live with. We have like a pod of soul family that we work with from one incarnation to the other.
that I knew her
So let me
husband,
just go back
and all
and
she was doing was
rewind and give
talking
people a
about him.
chance
And
to
then
phone
come to
in.
find-
And have you had any experiences
They
about
go
reincarnation, or
and
is this a bunch of hooey for you, or let us know what you think. But let me just talk about reincarnation just for a sec here, and why it's not in the Christian Bible, okay?
Okay.
Why isn't in the liturgy of the Christian faith? Well, because you go back to the First Council of Nicaea, which is in 325 AD. It was convened by the Emperor Constantine. This is when he became a Christian, and as the Roman Empire expanded, so did Christianity. So it was one of the ways in which you could say source consciousness said, okay, how can we expand the consciousness of Christianity? Well, let's attach it to the empire, and as the empire grows, so will everybody know throughout the empire about Christianity. So this ecumenical council was the first effort to attain consensus in the church through an assembly representing all of the Christendom about what should be included in the Bible and in the teachings or not. Okay?
Right.
And one of the things that got thrown out was the concept of reincarnation and also the laws of karma. So that's why it's not in the Christian faith. Originally it was, and it always has been. It was just a decision that was made by the fathers of the church at that time to leave this out, okay? So if you're a Christian, maybe you could just tune in and ask yourself whether that is acceptable to you or not. Because think about it. If you allow yourself to even consider the possibility, then a lot of things make more sense to you. Like, why would you be repeating the same thing over and over again in your life until you get it resolved? And if we repeat things over and over in this life until we get it figured out, don't you think it makes sense that we would repeat things over and over again from lifetime and lifetime until we get it figured out? It just makes logical sense to me.
Yeah.
It also makes sense of, you meet somebody and you have this aha experience or this deja vu. Hey, I've been here before. I've met this person before. How does that come about? There has to be some connection. It's just not fantasy. It's actually a real energetic match that can come from one generation to the other.
Yeah.
So these are all clues that just to reconsider about, there's Christianity, there's Islam, and there's Judaism. And there's a body of information called the Bible. And what's in the Bible and not in the Bible has been done by consensus of the church fathers for many political reasons. And if you really want to have some background of the full faith of Christianity, you need to read the Pseudepigrapha, which are all the particular books that got thrown out of the Bible for whatever reason. So, for example, there's one by Mary Magdalene, for example, that's well worth reading. So what I'm saying, there's a whole body of information because of political reasons does not include Christianity. So Christianity is far bigger and far wider and far more inclusive than the church that's called Christian church. So Christianity is a body of information that's very, very extensive beyond the limitations of what the church says is right or wrong, because that's a political decision. So there you are. I said it. I just said it right here. So there. So hopefully that will help people have a consideration about revisiting reincarnation.
Yeah.
So, and reincarnation is really quite amazing because when we understand that, we can give ourselves a break, and we can understand that whatever somebody's working through, that they have been maybe trying to resolve this for many, many lifetimes, right? And this is their opportunity. Or maybe this lifetime they chose to be a beggar or, somebody on the street. Because they wanted to work out certain karma, which we talked about yesterday, or they want to balance the book, so to speak. And so they may be a highly enlightened being who's really doing some deeper work about forgiveness and letting go, right?
Yeah.
And here we come along and say, oh, he's a guy on the street, and give him absolutely no regard whatsoever.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
That's a mistake, I think.
Yeah, and it's hard because as humans, we've been taught that the way we succeed is we have to judge what is good, what is wrong, what's right is wrong. I mean, part of the Christian tradition, there's you're born, in mortal sin, right? So you're always bad, rotten, and wrong, and you're trying to purify yourself by doing whatever you need to do, by doing Hail Marys or going to confession or whatever it is, or certain precepts or concepts or Hail Marys or whatever that you're supposed to do to regain your original purity or connection with source consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always a struggle. So what if we turned the tables on that, and what if we were able to believe that the God that we know, or the source, is all loving and always, and always has been and always will be, and so therefore loves you no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. So good, bad, rotten, it's not part of the judgment, it's all part of creation, and therefore everybody is equal in the eyes of God, whether it's an axe murder or whatever. They're all working through what they need to work through in the return path to the light, or the return path of the source. And they've all made this decision to come from being one with source, to make the descent through reincarnation and incarnation into the cycle of life and death, to have a certain experience, both on the positive and the negative, or the light and the dark, in order to grow their soul, or to expand their soul consciousness. So it's a temptation that we have. I know I get overwhelmed. Lives that matter and all the rest that's going on the planet, and wanting to judge this and judge that, and if I were God, I'd do this or that, or if I was a president, why doesn't he do this or do that? And really, I don't have any basis to make any of those judgments, because theoretically, best they can, or guess what, they probably choose to do it differently.
Well, we're all human, right?
They're all human,
and we make and we do what we need to do in this lifetime. But in reincarnation, for me anyway, and I've told you this before, I'll only bring up reincarnation if it's stopping you from moving forward in this lifetime, or an understanding of things, like understanding that I was in Egypt, or I was a druid, or what was the other one? Essene. I was an Essene. Were you an Essene too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a druid. Tyhson and I have a lot of similarities in our background, and apparently we've been in many lifetimes together, and we've worked together before, haven't we, Ty?
It's a scary thought, but yes. It is.
Why is it scary? Stop!
Yeah. And we've been Knights Templar together. We've done all sorts of things, and who's took whose head off, we don't know. It doesn't really matter. But we've been doing this.
I took your head off
after a lifetime.
I took your head off.
I don't know. I'm not saying that you did. I'm just saying that we like to think about reincarnation like, oh wow, Laura must have been Cleopatra, and I must have been King Solomon. These are not hero badges that we're trying to put on to make us feel better or more important than this lifetime. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about really quite ordinary lifetimes where we had to work things out. Some of them are more dramatic than the others. I have one lifetime where the last memory I have is I'm in a hammock and I'm in a Mayan and somebody's cutting out my heart. And I can literally, I'm still alive, and I can see my heart beating outside of my body. And you would think, oh, that's horrific. No, it wasn't. It was part of giving myself, my heart, to the Lords of Light. It was part of my becoming one, right? It was my belief at that time that offering myself as a human sacrifice was a way to return to the light. I don't believe that in this incarnation, thank goodness. Now, sometimes I wouldn't mind, no, wait a minute, don't go down that path.
Right. Right.
Sometimes I wouldn't mind that happening to some people, but that's not very nice. But the
Mhm.
point is that what's relevant in one life to be able to achieve enlightenment or oneness or with source it was a valid path, which no longer needs to be a valid path. So that's why it says in the deep clearing program to let go of the belief that we need to suffer or we need to sacrifice ourselves in order to return to the light. It's an old belief that's, well, really in our DNA and in our genetic coding, in our collective unconscious, that only through sacrifice, only by giving ourselves or poverty and chastity, can we achieve this state of and full embodiment or enlightenment or being one with source consciousness. So we get ourselves caught in these traps, right?
Uh-oh.
It says Facebook is frozen. Well, we must have frozen everybody up again. So let's unfreeze them. So for those that are here with us in the group, do you have any questions or comments that you'd like to put forward? That could be either Michael in the background as you're trying to solve the fact we're not on Facebook, or Matt or Oz. Do you have any comments or things that you'd like to say about what we're talking about?
Well, since we're not on Facebook, I'm just going to I want to bring this up.
So anybody you want to come forward, and I'm going to allow you all to talk here. So
Michele, Oz.
So we have Matt and Oz here, but they're being quiet, so they're not wanting to say anything at the moment. So yeah, reincarnation is really quite an interesting state of being. I did have one lifetime in which I found it interesting in that I realized that whether I was alive or dead didn't make any real difference to what I was doing. And so this was in China, and I was behind, in the Chinese kingdoms, they have these walled compounds that have these high walls, and then they have these beautiful oak wood doors, or doors that they shut and lock, right? Afterwards, which goes on to the gate. Interesting. And I was on the end of a warp or jetty real difference that jutted into the lake. It was a full moon. The lake was like glass. There was a bit of a mist coming off the lake. And I was in full meditation, close to samadhi or bliss. And I hear in the background that they're storming the gate, right? And I know they're coming for me. And I can hear them come through the gate. And I know there's nothing I can do about it. It's my time, right? And they're running down. I hear the footsteps coming, and I know that there'll be a sword, and swish, off goes my head. And so it was like samadhi before and samadhi afterwards, right? It was a foregone conclusion, and that was my moment in which my life would be terminated, and there was really nothing that I could do about it other than accept it. So that's part of it too, is accepting what is. Whatever's showing up is part of your soul growth, is part of what you need to be dealing with in the moment. And if you can let go of any judgment about it and accept it for what it is and learn from it, then you can move through the karmic aspects of it and move along the path towards enlightenment.
So we have a couple of questions. Michele Montgomery asks, will you please tell me what my past life is affecting my current life?
Yeah, well, if you know how to dowse, then you just do this on a scale of 0 to 100. And you just ask if 100% is I'm free and clear of any intrusions into my energy field from past lives, then you just do on a scale. So for Michele, I'd look at that scale of 0 to 100. And right now she has a huge impact of 50% of unfulfilled karmic stuff or from her past lives. So that would be worth getting into, right? Now, when I say getting into, I don't mean that you need to get down to the nitty gritty and know which life it was and whether you were a peasant or whether you did this or did that, or somebody did this to do or whatever. What I'm saying is using the clearing protocol, you can clear the energy around that, because we're talking about the energy. We're not talking about the events. If you want to get into the events, that's a whole nother process, which I don't really see the value of doing that. We really don't care who did what to whom, or at least I don't. Just like I don't care which entities are bothering somebody. whether they're pink, green, or have 5 legs or whatever. I'm just want to clear them. So it would be the same with karma. I'd want to try and see if I can clear the lineage. So I might ask in this particular case, using Michele as an example, I would say, can I clear her karma? And I could be doing this for myself or anybody. Can I clear this karma? And her karma, and the answer is no. Okay, so I would say, is there thing, if I knew what it was that needed to be known, can I clear her karma? And it says yes. Okay, so and then I say, okay, well, how many things do I need to know before I can clear her karma? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Is it 6? Is it 7? Is it 8, 9, 10, 11? It's 12 things. So that's a lot of things that I need to know before I can clear her karma. So I could then begin to start asking questions. So, how much of this 50% is matriarchal? Okay, is it matriarchal? Yes. So of that, how much is matriarchal? Like the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, so now we don't need to do the patriarchal. We know that we're in the matriarchal lineage. Okay, so how many generations in the matriarchal lineage do we need to deal with? We'll count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We're getting some movement now. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Okay, so 32 generations. So did Michele put up her hand and said, hey, I'm going to come in and reincarnate and clean this up? Yes, she did. So welcome to planet Earth, Michele. Thanks for putting up your hand that you're going to clear your matriarchal lineage, okay? So this is a soul agreement that you made. So I'm just going to ask Laura, do you have anything that you're tuning into with regard to Michele and her matriarchal lineage and 32 lives of whatever that needs to be cleaned up?
What I was getting is that, like, she's the accumulation of how all the women have felt about themselves.
Exactly. Yes. Bingo. Nicely done. So what would that be? What feelings would that be? Because you're right on track.
Martyrdom, like
worthiness, right? Martyrdom, worthiness, not standing in their power.
Well, and it's like giving all of themselves and never receiving anything back.
Giving their power away.
The best part of a relationship is the give and take, the back and forth. And it's like playing ball. If you're just constantly throwing the ball and it's just going away, what you would stop playing after a while, right? But you don't. You just keep throwing the ball over and over and over, and you're getting tired and you're running out of balls.
Yeah. Well, be careful what you're saying here. You're running out of balls. Yeah, I like that. But there's also the other part of it, Michele, and that is, where's the glove? Where's your fielder's glove so that you can receive the ball when it's thrown back to you? Okay.
And that's the thing too, is being able to receive when it is given. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're so used to giving that I'm not sure if you recognize what it is to allow or to know that something being given back to you. So here's what I suggest. I think part of the healing process could be really good if you did a gains book or a book on manifestation or gratitude, right? What are you grateful for each day? Because that's your receiving, right? That's the receiving part of your life. What are you truly grateful? I know, Michele, you could write a whole book about what you're not grateful about, the relationship and how painful that is and all the rest of it. But could you spend as much time and even more time doing the gains or like in this, my book is called The Gains, but it could be manifestation. It could be what's coming into your life. What do you have to receive the ball that's thrown back to you? How can you recognize that it's showing up in your life? That will start to free you up in the receiving. Yes. Go ahead.
I just got something too. Michele, you and I have been friends for a while, and I have been pulling back slowly but surely. And when I talked to your father, your dad was always like, her girlfriends will come, but they always eventually leave. And in doing this, just by talking about it, I get why it is that I want to go away. because every time I give you something, you don't receive it. You don't accept what it is that I'm giving to you. You just keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving to me, but you don't receive it back. And that when I never understood this. Thank you. This is very important, I think, too.
Yeah, I'm a Libra. I can't help. You have to look at both sides of the scale, right? The giving and the receiving. And Michele, this may be a little bit strong, but I'll say it anyway. There's a lot of complaining going on, and I understand why, and I don't want to devaluate the reason why you're complaining. But that's why we want you to have the joy on the other end, which comes from the gratitude, the joy of what you have received, because it will balance it out. And the more joy you can recognize in your life, the more that attracts that, like an elastic band, and brings that future into the present, and you'll have more and more gratitude. So if you can have more gratitude and about the things that you have that are working right from the beginning of the get-go in your life, that it will overwhelm your feelings of sadness and lack and disappointment, and it isn't good enough, and I didn't get this right, and that you will then be able to start to receive, right? And the more that you allow yourself to receive, you'll see the synchronicity show up in your life. You'll just have more joy in your life. Who doesn't want that?
Right. Exactly. Do we have anything more to tell, Michele?
Yeah, I'm just going to do a little clearing about all this, okay? So for everybody. All right, so I mean, this is the work you do on your own, but this will sort of take the charge off part of it, right? This is what I want you listening to this call, or to come and learn this from Laura and myself, as how to do this for yourself, right? So, I mean, I can intercede to some extent into your life by helping you in the sense of staying in the way of your karma while you learn this, but you have to learn it in order to take it over your own karma and work it through. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, so I can do it in divine intercession on your behalf, right? I'm allowed to do that. Just like I can call the Buddha to step in and say, hey, I'm overwhelmed by my karmic creditors. I need to work on this. Could you please hold them in abeyance until my consciousness rises such that I can take the karma back on myself and deal with it, right? So I'm doing the same as a Buddha would at a lesser level. Of course, I'm not the Buddha, but in fact, we're all the Buddha. So as Michael so graciously told me this morning, we are the Buddha. He says, I'm the Buddha. Yeah, we are all the Buddha. So we all have this capacity to forgive one another, right? And to do intercession for each other, to give another person a break so that they can get their feet back anchored to the earth, find themselves, right? And be able to do the clearing for themselves. So anyway, we'll go like this. So I'm taking my pendulum, we're doing it counterclockwise. So I, Tyhson, banding into my I am presence with assisted Divine Mother, Divine Father, and the source that all there is, undertake a clearing, karmic clearing, with regard to everybody on the call now or listening to the call in the future, to clear any and all intrusions into anybody's energy field from any lifetime, past, present, or future, and to resolve all karma with the Lords of Karma, to bring it to zero, and to remove all core fractures, toxic emotions, unresolved conflict that may be due to the unresolved karma from this or past lives or future lives. And I clear the matriarchal, patriarchal lineages, soul family, star family, and family of origin back to the point of creation. And we ask for compassion as all beings here on earth go through this amazing time of karmic transformation, both at the personal, societal, cultural, and planetary levels. And I declare it so in my holy name, so be it. And so it is. Thank you. So yeah, so this is, I mean, we had this, we've been getting feedback by Corey about what's happening, Marlon about what's happening now, and all the energy on this planet is coming in from the stars and coming in from the eclipses and the solar lunar eclipses and all the rest of this, and the summer solstice, that we're just being overwhelmed with this energy that's bringing about cultural and planetary transformation and at the personal level. So it behooves us all to clean up our karma, right? Because we're cleaning up karma on every level. So the burden is really, really strong on us individually. Otherwise, we can just get overwhelmed. There's just too much stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an empath and you think that you're responsible for any of it, and you need to solve it, then you're going to be even more burdensome for you. So knowing what's yours and what you need to deal with in order to resolve your own karma, and know that that is societal karma or cultural karma or your religious or spiritual karma, and that you can deal with that later. Right now, you want to get rooted, you want to get grounded, you want to be the pillar of light between heaven and earth, so you're stabilized, and then you can do the other deeper karma work. All right? Try and stay out of overwhelm. So thank you, Michele, for stepping forward so we could work with you, and hopefully others got gain from that and had some insights about their own lives, right? So let me just check in and see if we took some lid off the pressure in Michele's life. And yes, we did. There was about a 25% release. So it will be good for a period of time, and which will allow you then to do this work yourself. I'm just going to count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 days, okay? So you have about 10 days of relief that to try and come up with your own wording about what this short clearing would look like. And if you want to share that with Laura or myself in the Dowsing and Energy Healing closed Facebook, or you could private message if you want to keep it personally to Laura, and she'll go over the wording for you so you can do it on your own. Do I have anybody else out there?
Yeah, we have a question from Debbie Summers. Would love to know why I was reincarnated into this time and life and my purpose. I feel so much energy and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, well, knowing what your life purpose is and why you incarnated is what I'm here to help people do. So there's a whole program that, what are my divine gifts? What's my life purpose? Why did I incarnate? What are my divine gifts? How do I get out of my own way to let the divine flow through me so that I can deliver my gifts to the world? And so if you're antsy and you're full of energy and you don't know what to do, then that's the program you need to do, because it is so, unless you're on your soul path, all that energy doesn't have a place to be delivered. It's saying, okay, let's get her on track. Let's get her aligned so she can deliver her message to the world. And think of it this way, there's each one of us as an empath has a certain body of information, and we're going to say it in a certain way that a certain group of people on the planet is waiting to hear in a way in which you're going to deliver it. So there's like a whole process of each one of us of delivering this message to a group in ways that they can hear. So I encourage you to consider doing that program. This program is a 3-month program. It's a $3,000 program. You can do payments, you can do exchanges, you can do whatever. But it is a life, I'm going to say life-altering program. I don't know if it's so much life-altering as or life awareness program, because you already who you are, but until you know how to get out of your own way and know why you're here, then it's really hard for you to, to deliver your awesomeness to the world. Yeah, that's what I think. So, yeah, if you're feeling just so much energy, wouldn't it be great to get that energy channeled into what you're here to do?
Yeah, I think that she had a lot to do with being a mom in the beginning. And then she's here to help other people, but she's been doing it in through her actual work rather than through the spiritual realms. And now God is asking her to step up and be more in the spiritual realms. But she's not used to that, so she doesn't know where to go, and
yes,
keeps directing her, but she keeps putting it down. And because it's what's that old thing where the story where, remember the guy was drowning, right? And he's like, no, God's gonna save me, and he sent
I don't need to jump in the railboat with you because God's going to save me, or
Yeah.
I don't need to cling on to that blog because God's going to save me.
Yep.
I
And
think what's going
that's what I see with her. So
I think what's going on is what I'd call the empty nest syndrome. For women at her age, you've raised your family, you've done things that's maintained your family. It could include the horse and the ranch and, you know, the dogs and the cats, and you kept a home together to nurture your family. And now there's an empty nest syndrome. Now what's next? Now this is like you put all of what you are here to do on hold. Not that being a mom isn't a fantastic thing, don't get me wrong, but you know, your spiritual essence of why you're here and your real desire to deliver it has sort of been put on hold to be the mother that you are here to be. And now is your opportunity to rediscover or reinvigorate that part of you that knows that there's something bigger that you're here to do. So it's a unique time. This is the time for you to discover what your divine gifts are and what you're here to deliver to the world.
Yeah. So Oz keeps asking questions.
She's good at asking questions.
Yeah. She said, how many past lives did you have? Way too many to count, Oz. Sorry. I can't do it. There's too many for both of us.
I would say, you know, we're talking about, when we say in the Tao, we're talking about, I can't even remember the words. What are the words for multiple lives in the Tao? I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives, right? We're talking about, you know, 64,000 or more lives. Right?
Yeah. Too many to count. What is the most prominent thing from my past lives?
Well, the most prominent thing in your past lives is what you're facing right now. I mean, what's in your face now is what you need to be dealing with. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in your face now. So, yeah. So everything that we're dealing with in the now moment that's pushing on us, on our nose, is what we need to deal with inside of ourselves, because it's the karmic seeds that need to be dealt with right here, right now. And other seeds are not relevant until they show up in the now and give you the pressure to deal with them. So whatever the pressure is, Oz, that you're dealing with now is the karmic seeds that you need to deal with in this moment. It's a great question.
That's what's prominent right now. And in 10 years, it'll be something, whatever you're going through at that point.
Yeah, and you'll wonder what the heck that was all about 10 years ago. Like that was pretty silly. But anyway, and that's not saying that we think that you're silly. We're just saying that what's relevant today is not relevant tomorrow. So deal with what's relevant now. That's the clues of the karma that you need to be working through. And this is not karma being oppressive. This is karma saying, hey, if you figure this out, it's done, it's over, it's finished, you know?
It's true.
Yeah.
Then she says, or Michael says, is your phone on? And then Oz says, do we always attract the people that we have karmic bonds with? Yes.
Yeah, you attract the good, the bad, and the ugly, depending on your vibration. It all has to do with vibrational mat, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. How do we achieve the best connection to our higher selves?
Okay, so it's interesting here. I turned on my phone, and she wanted to know I wanted to know about karma. She got a little, so Siri got a little involved. So anyway, it's all right, Siri. You don't have to answer this, right?
How do we achieve the best?
Here.
Calling in.
All right, here you are. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Tyson. Hi, Laura. It's Alia. How are you both?
We're doing fine, Alia. What's up?
So, I had an interesting past life realization that I'm kind of curious as to what you think about it. So lately I've been doing a lot of research on the oracles, and I keep feeling just drawn to just kind of learn more so about them, specifically the Oracle of Delphi.
I knew you were going to say that, so you're on track. I knew you were going to say the Oracle of Delphi.
So weird. Like, Apollo's been coming to me as well, and I'm like, I don't get it. And then when I started digging into the Oracle of Delphi, I'm like, oh, she used to allow Apollo to use her body as a vessel to speak the prophecies. And I kept seeing a red hood for something that I want to film, and she was often depicted, wearing a red hood and sitting on a tripod chair.
That's right.
And all of the, top Greek politicians and councilmen would be there as scribes with their pens and papers waiting for her to spit out whatever it is. And the whole process looks so exhausting.
It is exhausting. It is
I had
exhausting.
this epiphany. I'm like, I'm not going to say the Oracle of Delphi, but an oracle of sorts, or maybe just, I've talked to Laura about some of the high priestess work you've done in Egypt, with Isis, could potentially lifetimes of that high level kind of work.
So let me ask you a few questions. Okay. So in this lifetime, let me state it for myself rather than for you. So in this life, I don't want to be anybody's oracle. I don't want to be used by any establishment who has pens and paper who wants me to channel what they should or shouldn't be doing. Number one, because they need to be having their own connection to source consciousness. Number one, they don't need me. Number two, if I'm in the intercession, then am I dealing with their karma and my karma and trying to interpret it, and it's none of my business. And then if I was a Delphi the Oracle of Delphi, I would be having to sit over toxic fumes that are coming up through the crack in the earth, and I would be in a psychotropic state in order to get this attunement. And I don't know about you, but I don't want any drugs right now to keep me, I want to be clear. I want to be crystal clear. I want to do the 20/20 vision clarity, right? And so, yes, the Oracle of Delphi is a lineage of coming from Isis, of speaking the truth to those that can't get the truth themselves, to speak the truth. And that, yes, she was literally the guide of civilization, but she was used by the powers of be to be able to say, well, the Delphi Oracle said A, B, C, or D, or F in order to use it for political gain. So just to finish off this idea, this is why empathic children at the highest level of the psychic ability are rounded up by the state, by state governments, and put into programs in order to be trained to do this type of work on behalf of the state government. Okay?
Right.
And so this continues on from generation to generation. That's the next way to exploit the generation that has the gifts of being an empath or being psychics. And I don't know about you, but most of my work is bringing that to zero and freeing people from the bondage of that. This is horrific stuff. This is known as child abuse. This is known as horrific things that are done to people. So anyway, that's my personal belief. It sounds exciting to be the Oracle of Delphi, but for me, from my perspective, if I had a chance to say, do you want that job? I would say no, thank you. I'll pass.
Right.
Hopefully that helps.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let me ask my question,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Sure.
Could there be a connection between that and my fibromyalgia? I don't know why, it's just kind of like that realization just hit me over the head. And maybe that's the case with a lot of people with fibro that are extra sensitive.
Yeah. But
I just see, looking at the Oracle of Delphi's images and just recognizing that, like, head to toe immersion into the other world almost, made me feel like, could that be why my nerves are fried?
Yeah, I would say so.
High level intensity. And what can I do to kind of just, I've been doing everything under the sun that I can get my hands on and be intuitively guided to, because I got work to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so frustrated that, like, my fibro is keeping me from doing what I feel my life's purpose is during this historical time period that I feel like I've known about that was coming since I was a little girl.
Well, I suggest that you book a session. I can't get into right now, but my sister had fibromyalgia as well. If I wanted to shut you down psychically or spiritually, something like fibromyalgia or Lyme disease or any one of the bioweapons, I would be using them, right? So cleaning that up and bringing up your energy level so that you can handle the energy in your body and it doesn't go into fibromyalgia is critically important. So are you doing the deep clearing protocol?
I did it a couple months ago.
Well, you need to be doing it again, and you need to focus on the fibromyalgia aspect of it and take all of the symptoms. Now, fibromyalgia is a diagnosis from doctors that don't know what they're talking about. Sorry, doctors, but okay, there is no fibromyalgia. It's just the terminology. But it is, like you said, it's a hypersensitivity to what's going on in the body and the way that the body can't ground the energy and doesn't know how to do with it. And it is a precursor of you coming online to use that energy to do what you're here to do. So helping you align with the truth of who you are. So I would go back to the deep clearing protocol and I'd begin to focus on the short clearing about what are the symptoms that the doctors say is fibromyalgia and start clearing them out. Whether it's diet, whether it's food, whether it's, whatever it is. And if you need some help, I suggest you book a session with Laura and myself to do the deeper work, because there's also unresolved core fractures and toxic emotions.
She's got, so I get,
Laura wants to say something. Hang on.
I get something from when she was like, hi, like 3 to 5 years old, where she shut her heart chakra down completely.
Are you able to hear?
And she hasn't been able to.
I can't really hear.
Okay, you need to speak louder there, Laura.
Or you could just tell her.
All right, between the ages of 2 and 5, some traumatic event happened where you shut down your body, your heart. 2 and 5?
3 and 5.
3 and 5, okay.
And there's no.
I did inner child healing work the other night on my 5-year-old self, and it was my heart that was broken.
Well, there you are.
Because I was told by my parents that I was always running around. My dad said, sit down. And I think in that moment of sit down, something happened energetically where the fibro actually is a counter of that often being told to sit down.
Yeah, which is another way of saying shut up. Sit down and shut up. So that's a 50% negative impact on you. So let me just ask, in alignment between fibro and that event.
Hold on, Tyson, because I'm not done yet. So there's that connection between self-love and also from how a man looks at her. So it must have come from her father, because how men look at her also makes her want to shut down and have excuses for not being able to not to love herself and not to move forward. And that's what I get is the problem with the fight with, and it's not from a past life, it's from this life. It may be something that she dealt with in a past life that she didn't fully resolve and why it's coming back up again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, everything in this lifetime is an echo of past lives. So yeah, so a session with either Laura or myself is your next best possible step. And also you really need to do the work on your own. You need to get back to doing the deep clearing protocol and working out what this has to do with fibromyalgia and those feelings you have about that 5-year-old and why they shut their heart down. And the more you do that for yourself, the quicker you'll go through it, and the faster when you come to us that we can help you move through it. So own it, use the energy, transform yourself, transmute it.
For sure.
All righty, thanks for phoning in.
Thank you for having me. Bye, guys. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Al. Yeah. So just to let you know, we can do part of it on a call, but we can't do all of it because some of it, a deeper work,
Yeah.
or fractures, talks, emotions, we really need to take you there. It's like the DNA is inscribed with an emotion below the stress point. So we have to come back in and rewrite that program, take it out through love and compassion. So it takes a bit of time, at least around, in my experience, 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So that's something we can do in a call.
This is the point about having a coach too with the deep cleaning protocol, that she had been doing the deep cleaning protocol. But what happens is it's kind of like you have an open wound on your back and you keep trying to take care of it yourself, and it's not working and it keeps getting infected. So she's not seeing what it is that she needs to see. That's why I highly recommend having a coach.
Yeah, this is a silly idea that's coming to me, but I'll say it. It's like drinking 24 bottles of beer and feeling really, really good, and then you think, well, maybe I can try 12, and you still feel pretty good, right? And now you don't have to drink any beer, and now you're back to the original problem that you had. You haven't covered over, you haven't dealt with it. Well, the deep clearing is the opposite to the alcohol. It's actually taking away the trauma where the beer was covering it, right? So now that you feel good because you've done the deep clearing protocol for an extended period, you think, oh, I'm done, it's over. Who needs this stuff? It takes too long. This is the child's play. And then all of a sudden, it just creeps back in, and the original addiction or lack of figuring it out overwhelms, and you start running the old program. And before you know it, you forget about the deep clearing program, and now you're back into problems again. So I encourage you to do it until it's done. So it says in the literature, the original idea of 21 days to create a habit wasn't the correct information. When the psychologists actually did the research, they discovered that 21 days is just an arbitrary number of days. That it's more like 60 days to really start to get the subconscious to run the program. And then from there, you have the likelihood of it being able to be run continuously. And of course, some of these take a continual, check-in.
But you still want to do the short. I do the short one every day. I've been doing it since, probably November, because I did the deep cleaning protocol between October and November of last year, and I still am doing it. I don't miss a beat. And I'm telling you, if I do, I can tell. It's kind of like not brushing your teeth. You're like, dang, I got some stinky breath. I got a stinky day today, and your life keeps going up, 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 up. But you have to make it a priority in your life. You can't, it just works so well when you do it on an everyday basis. That's why everyone calls in for clearings from Tyson. Y'all are like, please clear me today. Well, do it yourself every day. Do the short clearing every day. And a lot of these things that you guys got going on are going to clear up on their own. That's why we keep saying, ooh, whoa.
Easy, girl.
I know. I just had a huge confusion. Like everyone was just like, oh, whew. I almost fell over. Good thing I was sitting down.
Don't forget that the short clearing is really like, the deep clearing is, like I said, is a shotgun with a bullseye. You're going to get some of the shot in the bullseye.
Yep.
And that's why we cut it down day 7, day 14, day 21. Make it, we're starting to put a scope on the end of a rifle so that you can target into what's relevant to you. But anything that comes up and stresses you, that in your day is the reason you need to clear. So, so the question was, what karmic thing do I need to be dealing with now? Well, what is in front of your nose? That's the karma you need to be doing. And how do you deal with the karma? You put the laser focus on the short clearing, and you target in exactly what it is you need to work on. So whatever's bothering you in that moment is what you need to clear. And if it's beyond your understanding of what it is, how to put the scope on the rifle, or even what the target is, at least put it into the court of atonement and say, bring me clarity around this, please, right? And you just put the whole situation into the court of atonement so that there's clarity to know through your befuddled mind what it is the next thing that you need to focus on to do the clearing. So this is a never-ending process. Let's put it this way. Are you still here on planet Earth? Yes. Then you still need to do a clearing.
Saying,
That's-
yep. It's like, would you stop brushing your teeth every day just because you've done it for, well, I've done it for like 40 years. Why would I need to keep doing it? I don't know.
I don't know. It could be just Miss Stinky Breath, right?
Right. How do we achieve the best connection to our higher self so that we can hear or see the messages without a doubt? And we have 4 minutes left, so let's throw it in there.
This one's yours, Laura. Take it.
I would say that, well, first of all, you need to trust yourself, which is trusting in God. That's the first thing. Having a really good relationship with your source, with God. And that's by praying, meditating, listening to yourself. And then hold
up the diagram.
The diagram.
And doing the deep clearing protocol.
The deep cleaning protocol, yes. And doing the deep cleaning protocol to like remove all of those things that from your past lives and your generational lineages. Exactly. And then because you can see or hear messages without a doubt. When you have that trust, then that's what creates the ability to be able to get the messages. So I'm working with this guy right now who is extremely well connected to God, but he doesn't trust himself with the people in his life. So now we've taught him how to connect with, or like have this power within the people around him, like how they say, honor thy father and thy mother. I agree fully. But once you become an adult and you become a parent, then it's more of a respect than an honor, because honoring your parents is like bowing down to them and doing whatever they say. But when you become an adult and you have your own children and you get to decide your own stuff, now your parents' influence and what they say isn't as important as what you say, just like how they stop listening to their parents, right? That's taking your power back. That's trusting yourself. That's trusting that the way that your parents raised you was enough so that you can now make your own decisions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's called filial piety. You stand on the shoulders of your ancestors, but don't forget you're on the bow of moving through the karma of the lineage and breaking it free. So you are honoring all of the ancestors that make up the boat of who you be, but you're on the bow breaking through the new. Yes, you need to honor them, but honoring them, filial piety, is giving them respect and honoring them. But remember, it's you doing your work, whether it be judo, Christian, whatever, that keeps that bow moving, right? And that's how you bless them. When you clear yourself, you're clearing 164,000 souls, including your own lineage, past, present, and future. Look, if you were just restricted by that barrier, what your parents say you can or can't do, there's another barrier that says your culture says you can only do this or do that. Now your religion says you can only do this or that. And your society says you can only do this or that. Every one of those has a bubble that is both containing you and protecting you, but also keeping you in bondage. You have to decide at each one of those points of transition, what do I keep and honor in my lineage, and what do I let go so I can do the next step? So it's still honoring, but it's stepping forward.
And if you feel like you need to move, or you need to create a different life for yourself, or even change religions, or marry out of your religion, or marry out of your culture, or whatever it is, that is part of getting away from that honoring thy mother and father and going into more of a respect thing, right? Of what Tyhson was just talking about. So how do you get clear messages? Without a doubt, you start trusting yourself that the answers that are coming in are true for you. And that's just by doing it, right? You can start small.
If you got noise on the channel, if you're a radio station and we're all electrical vibrational beings and you have the channel isn't clear, with all that static, unresolved conflict, trauma. You're not doing the deep clearing. You don't have a clear channel. So how can you hear anybody on that channel that's speaking to you the truth of who they be? You can't even hear your guardian angels, let alone source consciousness. So you want to clear yourself up to have a clear channel, and then you'll hear the voice of God.
You just said guardian angels, and that's our show for tomorrow. And since we're at the top of the hour now, let's talk about our show tomorrow and seeing you tomorrow.
Yeah, see, let's talk about guardian angels tomorrow. So there we are. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Don't forget you can phone in toll free in North America. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye now.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.